was kind of an awkward story how he figured out Ernest Prince was his father. He was actually talking to this little girl back in the day, and her friend Rhonda Prince was actually kin to Ernest Prince. When he called on the phone one day, her mother in the background spilled the beans. She was like, he looked just like Ernest, which kind of pulled his coattail to investigate a little bit more. So he asked his mama, is Ernest my daddy? She brushed it off like it wasn't nothing. But there was always something you can tell that was leading him to the fact that this is your father. Until one day he was taken to a Prince family reunion. And when he walked in, everybody looked like him. Now when them features can't be denied, something in your spirit has to accept it. And that day, he said his heart kind of broke. Because it's like he was lied to his whole life of who his father was. Not only was he lied to, he was afraid of losing the love that he had with his father and Mrs. Pat, because it was like, well, if this ain't my dad and this is my dad, well, I have to treat him like this and him like that. It was just confusing to him, to say the less, and to anybody would be who was lied to for most of their life about where they came from or who birthed them. After coming to terms with Ernest being his biological father, he decided to spend a little bit more time at the Prince household, where he fit right on in. In the book, he also touched on the fact in life you could either be a leader, a follower, or a loner. And in this book, I found out he was all of them. He was a follower when he was in the Fifth Ward and they were teaching him how to throw hands and slap box. He was a leader when he created his own companies and had flocks following him wherever he went. But he was a loner when he went to Kashmir Middle School and was a fish out of water. So those three scenarios, I feel, helped to shape him into who he is today. Though naturally, he's a top dog, the man in charge. Some people are just unable to submit, but he chose to submit to God, which was a good choice. Because in that sense, you can never go wrong. He don't fear nobody but God either. When it comes to followers, you should always strive to not remain a follower. I didn't say never be, not remain a follower. One of the followers I feel like he spoke about in this book was his friend Frank. Now to me, Frank would have followed Jay Prince to the end of the world and back and did whatever he said. Jump high. But when you're a follower because there's safety in numbers and you always want to belong to something. When you're a loner, you're just a shepherd wandering around with a stick. He sold a little reefer when he was 11. Sound kind of like The Wire. When rich white people always question why black poor people destroy their own neighborhoods, it's because of proximity. They can't get to yours. But today, before doing this actual book club meeting, I traveled to Fifth Ward just to get a little inspiration of who James Prince actually is. Upon traveling to the Fifth Ward, gentrification, Lord, where he from, off of Coke Street. I was like, oh, this is nice. Round the corner, there are these plush, lavish, nice high rises. I know them was not there when he was growing up, when he was speaking about Fifth Ward. Anyway, gentrification, watch out.